Welcome back to the TheBiringPodcast. Today we got the Liberal leadership race. Kind of seems like more than a few people want the job.
Who the hell actually wants that job after Trudeau?
I know, right? It's kind of crazy. Then we got the gender debate.
The age-old debate. How many genders are there? According to Google, there's 72.
I don't know if there's 72, but a few people chimed in. We'll give you our thoughts. Next, we got Canada pressed for asylum seekers from the South.
Yeah, it's not like we don't already have an immigration problem, right? Let's just add to it.
Makes sense. And then, since it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, we got a story that links hot dogs to dementia.
Yeah. How many hamburgers and hot dogs do you eat each week?
After all that, stay tuned for Off Topic, where we talk about all the trendy things. And go like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And go follow us on Instagram at TheBiringPodcast. So, the Liberals are looking for a new leader. And there's, 6-7 people interested in the job?
Yeah.
Here's a clip of what some of them had to say during their campaign launches.
I've helped manage multiple crises, and I've helped save 2 economies. I know how business works, and I know how to make it work for you. Experience versus incompetence. Plan versus slogan. Calm versus chaos.
Canadian flag.
Oh, no.
I am so glad to be here at the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club today.
This was the whole thing.
Now is the moment to stand up and fight for Canada that needs us to be united, that needs every single person and every single supporter across the country.
To have someone who's going to stand up and fight for Canadians. I'm not entering the race because I need a job. I'm doing this because we have to ensure that we represent all Canadians, whether they are working class, whether they are business owners, whether they are young entrepreneurs. And we also need to ensure that we get the respect that Canada deserves at the international stage back. And I will stand up and I will fight for all Canadians.
Nope.
No French?
No French.
Okay, the Liberal Party of Canada is the party of official bilingualism. It's going to be a tough one. I don't speak French either, so
The point is that whether the Quebecers or English Canadians, it's not the language that matters, it's what is that they deliver to them.
But the language matters very much in Quebec.
No.
It matters in Quebec.
Trust me.
Profoundly.
Trust me. At the end of the day, for French Canadians and English Canadians, the matters most is that how the children and grandchildren are going to prosper in this country.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what language they speak, right?
Trust him.
Trust him.
This guy knows what's going on.
As if French isn't a part of Canada for decades.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So basically 7 people declared publicly, right? Chandra, right there.
Yeah.
Arya. There's Jaime Batiste, Frank Baylis, Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, and Karina Gould, the House Speaker, former House Speaker.
Yeah, I mean, basically it comes down to 2 people, right? And Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland, and no one else really matters. And Carney was the former governor of the Bank of Canada.
Yeah.
He's a former governor of the Bank of England. I think he went to Harvard. He worked at Goldman Sachs. And he was the former economic advisor to Trudeau.
Yeah.
I believe it started like way back during COVID. And then...
his babysitter.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah.
Something along those lines, right?
Was it him or LeBlanc?
Was it him?
I think it was LeBlanc.
LeBlanc, sorry.
Yeah, LeBlanc was Trudeau's former babysitter.
Yeah, no. Carney's just been his advisor, right? And then now he's talking about, strong economy he wants to build, right? When he's been the one that's been a part of that the whole time.
Yeah, we were even talking about it, I think, a few podcasts ago. You kind of predicted that he would be running for like he's kind of slimy and he's planning on overtaking him. Yeah. Because he had, Trudeau had him replacing Freeland, right?
I think that was his plan.
That was the plan. Then he backs out of it. And now,
like, he didn't formally say that was his plan, but that was like the rumblings that you were hearing everywhere, right?
Kind of a snake.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like you're first his economic advisor, right? And then everyone's hating on all of Trudeau's policies, from the carbon tax, anything that he's been doing, capital gains, all of that stuff, right? And you have him who's basically saying that now I'm going to come and fix this.
Yeah.
How are you going to fix it? You've been a part of the problem the whole time.
But aren't people blaming Freeland more than?
Well, these guys
He was the finance minister.
these guys were both part of his financial camp, right? With the economy and the money, how it's managed, right? And Freeland, I don't know if she said it there, but she even says that she would take away the capital gains tax.
Yeah. Oh, the capital gains as well?
Could be, you could Google.
The carbon
fact check.
tax, they're both backing out of, but it's kind of funny. It's something that they both signed off on, right?
I mean, this guy, Mark Carney, I don't even think he has any political experience. I think somebody even asked him about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's not the first job. I've had many jobs in my life.
As a banker.
Yeah, which is fine, right?
That he would scrap capital gain tax hikes. So
yeah.
Not altogether.
no,
Yeah.
not altogether.
I think it's
Wild if it was all together.
oh, that then maybe she'd get some votes.
Yeah.
But
How
yeah,
much support she has. Her campaign was crazy.
I mean,
That was a lot of free Palestine, I think.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
She couldn't even get through her
Yeah.
speech at all. It just kept happening. It was crazy.
I think a lot of that is also that she was in the background of every single Trudeau press conference.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She's always standing there, right? So
She had to be. Though.
yeah,
That's her job.
obviously she's the deputy prime minister and the finance minister. Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be standing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole country, I feel like, is in this place where they want to shift from Trudeau's government. And
Yeah.
just because he resigned, this is kind of the remnants of his government.
Exactly.
Right. And these people are running on campaigns. To me, I just see a bunch of people throwing each other under the bus.
Yeah.
And if it was going to be more of this,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as Trudeau.
Exactly. They signed off on a lot of his policies. They agreed to it. Obviously, they're in his cabinet, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like,
It's hard to trust them, right? Trust anything they're saying.
It just seems sneaky and slimy.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like if you're the Liberal Party, I don't think that it's not their turn right now.
Right.
I think they're for Canadians to get that trust in the Liberal Party, I don't think it's happening within the next couple of years, a few years even. I think it's going to
change for sure.
the whole overhaul of it, right? And then people will start to believe it. And that's if the economy gets fixed, deficit,
Oh, for sure.
gets controlled, these policies from carbon tax to this capital gains thing to everything that they've been pushing, right? Spend. When that stops and the economy starts to then do better, I feel like eventually Canadians might look at Liberals, right? Right now, who wants to look at Liberal government?
yeah.
It kind of seems like an irrelevant race, but the thing that would worry me is that politics, right? At the end of the day, you change a face and you throw
For sure.
a new face behind the same message, and all of a sudden people start thinking, maybe it'll be different,
Yeah.
right? And they start polling, and
Yeah.
these polls come out. I don't know who answers these polls,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they're not as far behind as they used to be. It's.
Yeah, I saw something recently that they were only 7 points behind.
I saw that and I was like,
From
BS.
30 points behind.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah.
that.
That's BS.
Yeah. It could have just been someone just writing something.
Right?
Yeah.
These polls are hard to trust too. There's so many of them, but Freeland specifically, the budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it went so far over budget, and her resigning, and how weird that all looked.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's running to replace the guy, right?
I mean, even when she was appointed the finance minister, originally there was people that were like, she's a journalist. She has no financial background. Why is she even? I think I've heard Kevin O'Leary even talk about it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't like what Kevin O'Leary's been saying about Canada anyways right now. He's saying that they should unify both countries.
Yeah.
From that camp, really, he just seems like a friend of Trump's, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he has Canada's best interests at heart at this point. But looking at this race, it's weird. Did you look into who had more endorsements?
Out of the two of them, it seems that Carney definitely has a lot more. He has about a dozen ministers behind him. Some big names. Anita Anand, transport minister. You got Bill Blair, defense minister, and the former police chief. Then Melanie Jolly as well, foreign affairs. You got Kamal Khera, diversity. Harjit Sajjan, emergency preparedness minister. And there's a bunch of MPs too. So he's got a lot. He has the most backing out of all of them. And then Freeland has the health minister I think
Yeah.
his name's Mark Holland.
Yeah.
That's the most noticeable minister.
And then just a couple MPs, right?
And a few MPs, and then the other people. It's essentially a two-person race. And
Yeah.
to me, it's Carney's to lose.
Yeah.
I find it hard for public to trust Freeland really after this whole.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. She's because even though Carney's was part of the economically advising Trudeau, he wasn't so public. You didn't see his face everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't suppose like the general public knows.
Yeah, exactly.
Freeland was always there.
Yeah, she
in
was
the
always
background
there.
at
Exactly.
every announcement.
Yeah.
She's always there.
So because of that, I think Carney, you can kind of get away with being like, it wasn't part of my plan.
Yeah.
And I think what he's trying to do is appeal to the capitalist on the right by being like, a former Bank of Canada governor, former Bank of England governor. So I feel like that a little bit works in his favor. But
Yeah.
like, I think it's like a race where unless something happens, that most Canadians aren't going to get fooled by this.
I hope not. I'm kind of scared of Carney.
That's saying most Canadians actually vote.
That's the other thing.
There's that too.
Who they'll actually vote.
I mean, this time around, don't you guys feel like it's going to be different because people are kind of fed up with everything that's happened? And
Hopefully.
you might see a bigger voter turnout.
Hopefully. They're going to need it. But, yeah.
Please like and subscribe, as it really does help the podcast out tremendously. Now let's get back to the pod. Yeah, let's move on to this gender debate. During Trump's inauguration speech, he said the U.S. will only recognize two genders, male and female, which obviously got a lot of politicians speaking and a whole bunch of other people. And we have a clip of some of them chiming in.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
Well, there's personally, I am a man. I am a, as
Okay.
people say, cis man.
Good.
There are people there who, they say they're
Me too.
gender
I'm a man
neutral.
as well.
You are a man.
Totally.
Yes. There are people there who say they're
have something in
gender
common.
neutral. Yeah. They say they're gender neutral. They're a trans person. Is that something that you would recognize here? Whereas in the States, at least with their U.S. government, the way they're seeing it, there's only two.
I'm only aware of two, but I mean, if you come up with another list, then you're welcome to do that. But I'm aware of two, and as far as I'm concerned, we should have a government that just minds its own damn business and leaves people alone to make their own personal decisions. That's the kind of government I'm going to run.
On that note, I think it's really sad for the folks in the States right now that heard the president basically say that they don't exist or that their reality or their identity is no longer recognized. It's really scary for a lot of folks. And I just want to acknowledge how scary that must be for people who heard that, who now feel really alone, who feel really afraid. I think what Canada's always done is shown as a country that we are there for people when they're in their times of need. It's something that's been a point of pride of Canada. So looking at that agreement and how we can amend it, it's been something that we've been considering for a while. We've raised concerns about the agreement for a while.
Obviously my heart goes out to the gay community and the trans community in the U.S. right now. They're going through a difficult time. As I'd mentioned, it's a stretch to create a whole new category of people that would be considered asylum seekers or refugees. And that's just reality. Whatever Jagmeet Singh is going on in his head, it's up to him really to think about it. I also, Pierre Poilievre, again, is being a jackass with this whole weaponization of the gender debate. He said he only recognizes two genders. I've only ever seen him really recognize one or spend most of his time on one gender, so at least that's a step up. But again, he has to be stopped being a jackass on gender issues. It's just stupid.
The immigration minister.
I didn't know he had a backbone like that, man. This guy. Calling him a jackass. I never heard him say anything like that. I thought he was just a nice guy. What's his name? Mark
Miller. Yeah. I mean, I feel like because Trump said that, you had a lot going on there. But like reading into a little bit of what everyone's saying there, that's a gender issue, right?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about gay rights or lesbian rights, right?
Sure.
And they're all saying that they feel sorry for gay people or whatever, right? I don't see that, right? Like, weren't they just talking about genders only?
Yeah.
I feel like they think of it as this is the first step towards like abolishing all of that. Like it'll start with the gender and trans and it's going to go to like.
You think that's what it is?
I think that's what people are scared of. I don't know if that'll actually happen.
I mean, to me personally, I feel like I know Poilievre is coming off as a little bit arrogant and maybe
arrogant.
Yeah, maybe in that specific interview. But I think I would look at it more as like, if you, as long as you're not forcing that on anyone else, whatever you choose to do, that's your own, opinion, right? Like, go for it, right?
I completely agree with him. That's the stance that I was taking, right? Like, the government shouldn't really meddle into people's personal lives. You're allowed to do whatever you want. But I don't see anything wrong with him saying that either, that he only sees two genders. He's only ever known two genders.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to most religious people, they'll basically have the same ideology as well, right? I think Jagmeet got a little bit of flack for that when he originally started saying it, right? Because traditional people who follow traditional cultures or religions, right? Usually that doesn't coincide with the religions, right? I'm not saying that it's wrong or whatever. Everyone can have their own opinions on it, right? And I'm not going to discriminate against people that have any kind of lifestyle or whatever genders they think. But I think it's wrong to be like, I need to accept every single gender, period.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm a person who believes in male and female, that's my choice, right? If you want to believe that there's 72 or 6 or 8 or 15 or 20, that's your choice, right? But like when it comes to, I think the problem decided to come to this when it came to schools, right? And you started hearing all the stories of it.
The kids.
Being taught to these kids, and now kids don't have to tell their parents about when they want to change their pronouns. And they're saying they're doing it to protect the kids.
That
but really,
goes a little beyond.
yeah, who's the parent and who's the teacher in those kind of situations, right? So like, if you're gonna, like how Simmer's saying that there's a worry that they're going to bring it back and, it's gonna hit like same-sex marriages and all that kind of stuff. On the flip side of it, when it goes too far to the other side, then it's being pushed onto kids and stuff, right? And that's when a lot of parents and the general public is starting to get worried, right? And that's why you get things like that, right? Now, whether that's right or wrong, that's up to you. But like when it comes to the gender debate, I mean, everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's where it gets misconstrued a bit too, right? It's not extending that far. They're not putting limitations on gay rights or anybody's rights for that matter.
But
right?
what's he doing? Like, for instance, when Trump said all this, he's like, because I also read that like males can't play for women's sports, and then transgender men have to go back to jail, like a male jail, which is kind of scary because I feel like I know they're like criminals or whatever, and I'm not feeling sorry for them. But they're gonna get targeted.
Yeah, for sure. In a male prison, that is. I can see that.
So, but is he acknowledging that they're still transgender?
No,
or
he's saying there's only two.
But what if a man is saying now I'm a woman? Then she's choosing the woman. He's choosing the woman gender.
To my understanding, there's not.
That's the part I was confused about.
But I don't think you're allowed to do that. I think you're either a transgender male or just a female, like a biological.
I think what they're doing is the government is only going to recognize the two.
Okay.
Right.
But if I were, for instance, to say I'm now I'll be recognized still. That's the part I was unclear about. I wasn't.
It is.
But that's what I mean. I don't think you can say that you would be a transgender man.
Yeah.
But biologically, you're a female.
You'd still be.
So he's saying that trans is not even.
Well, there's a lot going on with this, right? With the female sports, being a father of a daughter.
That being said, I agree with the sport.
Yeah. The sports part to me was easy.
Yeah, like they shouldn't be letting. Males have a
advantage.
If I identify as a female right now and I start like doing any type of sport, I'm gonna have a huge advantage.
Exactly. right? And there might be some
Go play at
sports.
the WNBA.
Not maybe right now. I'm saying when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like when you're growing up, you're in high school or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
WNBA, I'd get my ass kicked.
Yeah. But I feel like even what else were you saying?
Oh, the jail. I was
jail.
just saying, like,
Okay, so you're saying that male jails are harsh, so like what's this person gonna do? Look at it on the flip side. I don't know where those
The
articles are
assault
now,
and
but
stuff
while
that
this was
happened.
happening,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of things about
right.
males going into
Assaulting,
female,
yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
sexually assaulting
Right.
female prisoners, right? So if that's the kind of people that are going to end up in those kind of jails, then
Right.
let them be in the male jails,
Yeah.
right? Like at the end of the day, if you're somebody who's physically inferior and you end up in a male jail, you can't be like, it's not fair,
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's just
No,
the way.
it's hard to sympathize with the criminal. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, but then you can draw sympathy for anyone,
Right.
right? Like if there's like a 5'5" really weak person going to a jail, and you're like, oh, there's big, strong.
Because I also heard him say, why I asked about the transgender part is because Trump, he was saying that he's going to decrease the surgeries. That doesn't mean he's going to get rid of them. So that's what made me think that
thought he was getting
you're
rid of
still recognized as long as you pick one. It's the
even
non-binary,
like
neutral, those ones he's not recognized.
it's becoming a big talking point, right? But what does it really mean? Right, that like on government forms, you can't check mark
Kind
a box.
of. I think
right?
that's what it means.
If you're sitting in your house, you can say whatever the hell you
like I'm a lion, right?
Yeah.
So like, and there was a lot of that, right? Like right now, obviously it's going to get spun the other way, right? But over the last few years, weren't we all reading these stories and laughing at certain people where there's like, a kid at school that thinks they're a cat,
Right.
right? Like we've heard that one. Or like they were saying that their parent, one of the parents was like, there needs to be a litter box in the washroom, right?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff, we didn't know what's true and what's not, right? But even the drag story hour with the kids, right? Like a lot of parents are opposing that, right? And
What was that?
there was this drag queen story hour with the kids.
What?
You never heard about
Like
it?
a drag
It was in the
reading
States. I don't know if it happened here, but like if you're a parent, right, you should be able to choose if you want your kid exposed to that at what age,
That's
right?
when
It
it gets
shouldn't just
tricky,
be pushed
in
onto
the
them, right?
schools and stuff.
And that's when you started to see a lot of pushback.
And it's part of their curriculum too.
Yeah.
It was kind of snowballing into something like
And then as adults, like without getting into all of that, man, like to me, it's usually on these kind of issues, more of a libertarian where you're kind of just like, if as long as you're not harming anyone else and you're an adult and you have the right mind to make a certain decision, go for it. That's
do
your
whatever
life,
you want,
right? You have to either live by the consequences or you reap the benefits of whatever your decisions are, right? That's what adults do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to kids, that's where parents are going to draw a line. That's where most people feel like it's unreasonable.
It's
right?
scary because it gets baked into their curriculum. And then there's so many stories that come out about people who went through the surgery or not people, kids
And then they regret
that
it.
changed their whole body or they took all these pills to change their what do you call it? The hormones. Right? And then they regret it afterwards. And then you did something to yourself that you can't really change.
I even heard like detransitioning is like
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah.
So
Because
there's a lot
really,
of
I feel like there's studies done saying that your brain isn't fully formulated until you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
But I feel like most people that I know, people don't really turn into adults till like
longer.
35.
Yeah.
Right? And like some of us can still be childish at times, right? So I feel like doing these surgeries when kids are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, before they even hit puberty, you're taking puberty blockers.
like you got to be the parent at some point.
Right? And I feel like this whole thing with like where kids could have gone to school and be like, I want to be labeled as this is my pronoun now, without telling the parent, right? And you don't know what's going on in the kid's house. And the argument, I get it, that there could be some pressures and the kid wants, but like it's the parent's job to parent.
Yeah.
Right? And when you keep interfering in that, people are going to get angry.
Yeah.
Right? So
I feel like at schools they took it too far where they were too open with it. And then the response of the government now, especially the Trump administration, was to just take it so far right.
We're
and say,
anti-woke.
Yeah, like there's only two and that's it.
Yeah.
And even a lot of people like that are part of the administration and support Trump are very against like trans rights.
Yeah.
So like even Elon Musk, like he actually has a transgender daughter.
Yeah, he does.
So he has a lot of kids. He has 12 kids with 3 different women.
Yeah.
And so he had twins with his first wife in 2004. And one of the twin boys transitioned to a girl, but he's like estranged with that girl now because he was totally against it and like he did not approve it. And then he had this podcast clip.
And so I lost my son, essentially. So, you know, they call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
all right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead.
Wow.
So my son Xavier is dead. Killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus.
He called it the woke mind virus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, if it's when somebody manipulates or an ideology or a movement, whatever you want to call it, when it infiltrates the school board or whatever happens, right, and you feel like it's impacting your kids, the way I look at it is like we live in a melting pot right here in Canada, right? And it's the same way in the States, right? There's so many different cultures, religions, right? And everyone has different values, right? That they raise their kids on. A lot of those values correlate and they're similar, right? And good people are going to be good usually, right? But culturally speaking, you don't know what is appropriate for those people or not, right? And we're not in schools teaching every single religion, every single culture. You're not forced to learn these things. You're not forced to learn Sikhism, Hinduism, Christianity. You're not, unless you're going to those specific schools, you're learning math, science, all of this, right? So I look at that and I look at it more like a religion, right?
Yeah.
Where it's an ideology that's being pushed on to kids, right?
Sure.
And just because if you don't want your kids just listening to and partaking in every single religion, I'm not saying that I have anything against any other religion, but I think it's a parent's choice how you want to raise your kids. When they grow up, they can do whatever the hell they want, right? But like as they're growing up, the same way I wouldn't want any kid to have to learn or have to practice every single religion. No, right? Like this is the same way. Like you don't have to go and learn this in school, right? Like they could have kept it out of the school system, but they didn't.
That's the thing. We talk about it a lot, right? It's a lot of the times it comes down to the parents' need or obligation to parent their children, right? There's a reason there's an uptick in so many like children becoming trans or like a lot of this happening. It's because it's baked into the curriculum. A lot more people are doing it in school. They're a lot more impressionable on social media and whatnot, right? So you kind of feel this need to be included in it.
And don't you feel like this whole thing with like coupling trans with gay and bi and lesbian and everything, it's always been done, but I don't see them all as the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The other ones don't require surgeries.
Why you gotta group them together?
Right? That are irreplaceable. Right? And before, like everyone's getting very angry. Like you saw the immigration minister say that, Poilievre's a jackass or whatever. He seemed pretty angry, right? Maybe he knows people or is, I don't know, somewhat involved and he knows and he feels for that community. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
But 4, 8, 10 years ago, it was pretty normal to assume that there's 2 genders.
Yeah.
Right? And now you want the whole world to be like, no, there's 6, there's
feel like
8,
this
there's
is
20,
as recent
there's 30.
as like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Where this just went crazy.
Yeah.
The number of
like I
can't keep up with them.
I think majority of people don't have problems with same-sex marriages, with most of those things, right? So I don't like to couple all of that together. But when it comes to transitioning, I think when it comes to younger kids, specifically, right, people are always going to have problems with it.
Yeah.
And then I feel like if you're going to try to make those people then be like, no, you have to say this pronoun, you have to do this, you have to do that, you're going to get people angry.
Yeah.
right? Just like I don't think I have the right to tell somebody else like what you can say, what you are or not, right? You shouldn't be able to force that down my throat. Like I have to call you this or I have to call you that. That should be my choice.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have a name, I'll call you your name.
Yeah. I feel like you can recognize, just like how Poilievre was saying, right? He recognizes the two genders. And you can recognize however many you want and just stay out of people's business. But what it boils down to right now is the current economic climate and political climate we're living in. It's like the money, economy, and now foreign affairs with what's happening south of the border, right? That's what matters right now. And we need somebody strong in office who can tackle those matters. And then
this trans thing was just a talking point, I feel like.
Just because Trump was saying it. It came up.
Yeah.
I do think how Poilievre answered, though, he was a little bit of a jackass. I didn't like how he was speaking to him. Because I don't think the CB24 reporter asked him a wrong question. He's just like, do you agree or not? He could have just said, I don't, or I do.
He seemed even annoyed by the question somewhat, right?
But so I could, as a person of trying to run for PM, like you're going to get questions, you're going to get wacky questions. You should be able to hold your professionalism and answer that question.
For sure. I agree with you. Yeah.
Or somebody like me would like the way he answered it, right?
No, for sure. So maybe, I don't know if the guy was saying that what he was saying was a jackass or just how he responded, he was being a jackass. Because I think he was being he was being a little demeaning.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think whether you think there's two genders or you think there's however many you think there are, I think that's your own personal opinion.
For sure.
Right? And to try to force people to be like, no, there's this many or this many or this many.
I'm sure if he asked Trudeau, he would have been super polite and Canadian about it. For sure. He would have got a win-win there.
I remember seeing this clip of him saying, I'm going to butcher it now. He was in a university somewhere and they asked him something.
Who, Trudeau or Poilievre?
No,
what
let's just leave it. I can't remember exactly what they asked, but he changed it from man to people.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The national anthem?
No. He was giving a speech somewhere.
Oh.
And she was talking about, I don't know if she said woman or man, and he's like, oh, we're talking about people. And
was it like manhood or people? I don't know what it was.
Said peoplehood or something.
I don't know. It's something weird like that, but yeah.
He's always been a proud feminist.
Yeah.
I just saw a video of him wearing his sweater backwards.
Oh, no.
Trudeau?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, is it that he says people kind
instead of mankind? Mankind rubbed him the wrong way.
Yeah. Someone said mankind, and he's like, we say people kind.
Yeah. People kind.
No, we do not.
No, we don't. Right? I mean, everyone's getting worked up over these genders. If, like, to me, however anyone wants to deal with it in their home, that's up to them. Right.
Yeah.
As long as you don't push it on the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Canada preps for asylum seekers from the U.S. And here's a clip of Immigration Minister Mark Miller again, this time talking about the situation.
We'll continue to remain a humanitarian country. We have a limit to their ability to welcome people in a proper way. We have welcomed well over 50,000 Afghans over the last little while. That's something I think Canadians can be proud of. We've welcomed tens of thousands of Syrians refugees, and we currently have well over 300,000 Ukrainians that we're housing temporarily as the war goes on in Ukraine. So there is limited capacity, but if there are opportunities, we'll certainly look at them. The U.S. decision, as unfortunate as it is theirs, and we'll continue to do our job as a country that does have a heart and does care about resettlement of people that are fleeing war. We are, I think, the top resettlement country in the world. UNHCR recognizes that. I don't see that ending anytime soon, but there is a limit to our ability to do things, and we can't obviously be everything to everyone.
So on top of this tariff threat, we have this to deal with now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like immigration's become a hot button issue in Canada already.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of that had to do with students immigrating to Canada through a loophole. But now you're going to see asylum seekers.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. I even read this thing where they want provincial governments to take criminal asylums into provincial jails, right? Like Ottawa's asking them.
Yeah.
Which, like, then you're looking at a situation where you're now going to have tax-paying dollars to have these provincial jails fill up with people that aren't from here.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy.
And I don't even know how they're going to label those people as criminals, because I'm guessing they're going to try to cross illegally.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you don't know who's going to come from that border, how they're going to come in. So, I mean, it's a pretty crazy issue.
Even in Ottawa now, they're setting up a processing center for asylum seekers because they know there's going to be an influx of them, right? At the Quebec border. They're trying to set one up. And basically, Trump suspended a refugee settlement program. So all these people there that are in war-torn countries, all these wars going on, right? They had already been approved to get refugee status in the States, and now they're kind of just stuck in limbo. And where the hell are they gonna go? And him even doing this, kind of, where do you think they're gonna go? They're gonna try to go to Canada. You know that, right? You're saying you don't need them for their oil, their gas. You don't need them at all. Why are you throwing your problems at our doorstep?
You know,
essentially, right?
You know how he was saying that Canada needs to strengthen their border, right? And he was like, yeah, because a lot of fentanyl and migrants get through. I don't think he was wrong. I think Canada does need to strengthen their border. But I think because they're coming this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and
I also
you don't know.
heard, like, what you were saying about the Ottawa. Did you hear, like, criminals too?
Yeah.
They're trying to set up the asylum-seeking criminals and house them in jails here.
Yeah.
So to, like, overpopulate our already overpopulated jails.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that. And then did you hear about Mexico? How they refused to let a plane land that was carrying migrants, a U.S. military plane that was carrying migrants into Mexico. They refused to let it land.
Okay.
Right? Basically, apparently, similar flights landed in Guatemala. And when they tried to land in Mexico, I think I had an article here somewhere. Mexico was like, we will always accept the arrival of Mexicans to our territory with open arms. And then the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, said on Wednesday, such a move would require the country receiving the asylum seekers to agree, and that Mexico had not done so.
Damn.
So this is like a Reuters thing, and it's not, I don't know if it's hit news everywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
Right. But essentially, it's kind of wild, right? Like, they're saying that they would let, obviously, Mexicans come with open arms, right? They're from their country, right? But they're not letting this plane land. So you look at that. Even Mexico's like, we don't want them back.
And we don't even want them back. It seems like nobody wants them, right?
But this whole situation, not to make fun of it, there is a lot going on here.
Yeah.
I think there's that thing with Trump trying to end birthright
citizenship.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. What do you guys think of that?
I think because I think it's part of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, from what I know, right? And I think it dates all the way back to, like, post-Civil War era. Right, where they basically, if a person's born in the United States, right, you would think that person's a U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
right?
Imagine being born somewhere and you're not allowed to be a citizen of that place where you were born.
Well, I think what Trump's camp was arguing is that there is, I'm gonna forget the stat now, but there's somewhere around 55,000 undocumented mothers who have had kids over the last 2 years since 2022.
Yeah.
And they're arguing that when those people
trying to game the
kids,
system.
Yeah, and they're trying to live there, right? And they're trying to become citizens.
Yeah.
But then again, you can't stop people from having kids.
For sure.
Right? Like, a person can't pause pregnancy.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be people that are going to exploit loopholes for sure.
Yeah.
But birthright citizenship, taking that away seems like a slippery slope to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't matter what you argue and if you think you're doing it in a noble cause. You've seen governments take things like that in the past and then use them to their advantage, right? Later on, right? So giving the government control over birthright citizenship, kind of, it's a weird one.
That's a slippery slope.
Right?
That's scary, yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be people out there that'll defend it basically for the reason that I said.
I
right?
get it.
Yeah.
That probably happens a lot where people purposefully misuse the system. To get citizenship, right?
Yeah.
Being an American citizen, it's very sought after. Probably the most sought after citizenship.
Speaking on that, apparently, not apparently, there was a raid in New Jersey where ICE came to it was a seafood store, I think.
Okay.
And arrested asked for documentation only according to the owner, only from the Hispanic people that were working there. So there was Portuguese people working there. There was other cultures working there too.
Yeah.
So they ended up arresting 3 people. 2 of them ended up being American citizens. They just didn't have a passport on them, and then
they arrested them anyway.
They arrested them and found out after. One of them was a veteran.
Wow.
Yeah, served in the army. Take that in this, and this is the day after Trump signed that executive order.
Yeah. There was a bunch of things people were knocking this guy for. Day one, you said you were going to do yada yada. He did a lot.
He did do a lot.
Yeah. But this one's one that they came in hard. Even with DA agents, he's giving them sweeping powers, deportation.
Which is kind of crazy.
Right?
Yeah. And then I feel like he's sending all the troops to the border, which that one I don't think there's much wrong with. If you need support at the border, you send in the troops. I can get it. But I think he's trying to send a message by saying that, hey, look, we're going to hit hard. We're going to start this thing off quickly, and we're going to deal with this problem because it's been a problem, and that's what the Americans voted for, right?
Mass deportation.
Right? They wanted it, right? But then again, with that, you're going to get a lot of this, I don't know if it's racial profiling, what you want to call it, right?
It'll come with it, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Which everyone knew.
Yeah.
That's what everyone said before it happened.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the prayer service? The bishop there?
Oh, yeah. I saw something about it.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
You just reduced them to those jobs. That was pretty crazy.
There's one thing about stereotypes, and then there's one thing to say that maybe
this is all they do.
Yeah, or maybe there's not Americans that also have those kind of jobs.
Exactly, yeah. Thought that was weird. And then he went on afterwards. He's like, I hated the service.
But didn't a judge block his plan anyways to take away
the birthright citizenship? Yeah.
So a judge did block it.
Yeah.
But what that does is give them 14 days, I think, to bring some evidence as to why they want to block it. And they anticipated
He said it was unconstitutional, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he said, frankly, I have a difficulty understanding how a member of the bar could state unequivocally that this is constitutional order. Right? It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to say the Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays said no president can change the Constitution on a whim, and today's decision affirms that. Right. So there's a couple of people that were speaking out. The Washington Attorney General said Trump's order was un-American.
Damn, the Attorney General too.
Birthright citizenship makes clear that citizenship cannot be conditioned on one's race, ethnicity, or whether their parent or where their parents came from. He said after the ruling, so there's a bunch of people from different states talking about it, and the birthright citizenship is as American as apple pie. So there's I feel like lawyers.
It's a tough one. I don't know if it'll stick. But
yeah, apparently, I mean, from what I read, his camp, Trump's camp, the executive order will be put on hold for 14 days pending further legal proceedings. Agencies deny that granting citizenship or children of migrants who are either in U.S. illegally or on a temporary visa. So what he's saying is what I was saying before, right? it's basically because he thinks that undocumented people are using this loophole to become U.S. citizens or through their kids stay there longer until they can, right?
Yeah.
Which some of them might be, but that doesn't mean you can take away birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a little ridiculous, right?
It's the same thing as assuming that all immigrants are criminals, and so you're just kind of just taking a few bad apples and just lumping them all together, right?
I mean, we're a product of immigration, like most people are, right? You can't just. So if somebody's gonna say that birthright citizenship isn't a thing, we were born in Canada. We're not American, right? And we're Canadian citizens by birth.
Yeah, by birth.
Right? But our parents were immigrants once upon a time. They're Canadian citizens now, right? But our dad came here when he was 14, right? But like, again,
they weren't citizens the day they landed here.
No, and they didn't have us to try to become citizens.
Exactly.
That wasn't their goal, right? They got married at a community center at that time because there wasn't even banquet halls. And then eventually we were born after they were married, after they were Canadian citizens. It had nothing to do with us, right?
But in some circumstances, it's harder to get citizenship and stuff. It's not like they don't want to. Maybe sometimes the parents, they want to get citizenship. They're just like,
and you can
through the process.
You can frame it however you want, but this one is a weird one to me.
For sure, yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think, like, if you're born in a country, you're pretty much a citizen of that country.
You should be.
Right?
Makes sense.
And I think he even said before that U.S. is the only country that does that.
And Canada does that.
Yeah, Canada does it. I think there's like 20 or 30 other countries that do.
I don't know where you got that.
Very regular.
I mean, sometimes he just says shit.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of times. Which I don't understand how that's allowed. He can just say so many lies.
I don't know. He talks a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're talking that much, like, have you ever seen him go on these speeches?
His weeps
for 3-4 hours? Like, I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah.
Got a lot of energy for someone his age, man.
Yeah. To continue to recall events and just keep going through these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy's whole motto, I guess, he doesn't need us. So he's just going to take all his problems and dump it on Canada.
But the birthright thing, I thought there was restrictions on, like, I know what happens.
Yeah.
On like traveling that late in pregnancy. No?
There is.
Yeah. I always thought there was.
Yeah.
But I think you need like a physician's note or so. But what can the note even say?
No, so I don't think it's not just traveling while pregnant.
Yeah.
It's while
at
you're
the end of your pregnancy because in hopes that you give birth in that country.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
People are born.
It's not just that.
I know.
On
for
purpose.
some-
Yeah.
Yeah. That thought, like, now I can bring my parents.
Yeah,
now I can
yeah.
bring my grandparents.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's more so people who are undocumented illegally in the U.S.,
Living-
right?
Oh, I see.
And then they get pregnant and have a kid, and then they use that to try to become, I don't know, somewhat.
Because then their kid is illegal.
Their kid is illegal.
Citizen.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
Right, which makes a better case for them to become citizens or.
Which you're saying is what our parents did.
That's not what our parents did.
No, they came here.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so my parents came here as refugees.
Yeah. But you were.
Okay, I wasn't born here.
Yeah.
but if I was.
But you were what, like 8 months old?
6 months.
6 months old.
Yeah.
Right. And your parents were escaping a coup from Fiji.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a different situation. You're actually applying to be a refugee because the country you're coming from is no longer a safe country. Right. So you're actually applying. It's not some loophole that you're exploiting. Right.
Yeah.
So that's different from somebody who is just saying that they want to have a kid for their chance to
get
legal in a country, right?
Yeah.
Like for us, my parents, they both came here, right? And then they became citizens, then they got married, and then we were born after they were citizens.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do, nothing to do with.
Citizens way after. Like, I was like in grade 5.
Yeah, well, my dad came here when he was in grade 9,
Yeah.
8 or 9, right?
Came here early.
I could imagine, like you're saying, illegal immigrants are in the States working and now they have families.
Yeah.
I don't know that their intent was always to do it because of that.
Yeah.
But what about, like, those ones kind of get all pushed together in the
Yeah. And taking away birthright citizenship, kind of like, what does that mean? You get to decide who's a citizen and who's not?
Right.
Just imagine being born.
Who gets to decide then?
Even here, you're born in Canada, but you're a citizen of India.
Yeah.
Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your whole life's here, right? That's all you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, nobody thought that this thing was going to be a clean cut situation, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's
even turning them towards us. What the hell are we gonna do? We already have an immigration problem. Well, I guess these students, the applications are starting to drop now.
okay.
Housing problem.
Would you rather have student immigrants or criminals?
Oh,
I mean, we already have a crime problem here, right? Like
Yeah.
you're starting to see the uptick
Crazy.
in crime, right? So what do you think is going to happen if
Did you guys see that
this-
shootout thing?
No.
It was wild.
What?
I saw like a shootout, a bunch of like it was in I think on Queen Street.
Mhm.
It was crazy. There's just like a full out like shootout.
Really?
Like I never saw anything like that around here.
Yeah, I mean, Canada has been changing when it comes to crime. Like, I feel like it changed more in the last 2-3 years
Yeah.
than it has in the last like 15-20.
Yeah.
And that's not going off any stats or anything. That's just
The eye test.
Yeah, or you just see it more because of social media now.
I think everything started changing during pandemic.
Mm.
Like everything started shifting a little bit. I don't know if people were bored or
Not just
not
bored,
working.
And money, right?
And money,
Everything gets more expensive. Crime always goes up. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, typically during recessions, crime's going to go up, right? You saw inflation go nuts, right? And then people who didn't own any assets, had no stocks, had no Bitcoin,
Yeah.
had no houses or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like if you had no gold, nothing,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to see all these people that own multiple assets
Mhm.
getting rich, right? While that's going on, people are going to be like, hey, we need to get rich too. So they find different ways of doing it. And then when you run into this problem where you're running into a recession,
Yeah.
then people are, getting fired, getting laid off. Companies are downsizing. People lose their jobs.
Mhm.
Crime's going to go up.
Yeah.
Life is harder for everyone. Nobody wants to pay these high prices. Inflation made those prices go up and they stay high. Even though interest rates come down, those prices are still up. Interest rates go up, those prices are still up, right? So
Yeah.
people start doing things that aren't the betterment of anyone outside
Yeah.
of increasing crime, right?
For sure.
But we didn't even touch base on Trump's inauguration. You guys see all the little antics with that?
Yeah. Did you guys see the whole inauguration?
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw Zuckerberg
Yeah.
catching a peek.
right?
He was paying attention to some things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a little video. Just watch his eyes. 1,
Oh my god.
2,
Oh, double. And he smiled.
and one more, 3.
Damn. Zuck.
Yeah.
Okay, but take this in. Let me show you a picture of her outfit, and you can deem it appropriate or not.
Mm.
This is
That's what she chose to wear.
this. Yeah, like I get it. Like
Yeah.
blazer cool, but you can't wear lingerie under a blazer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
appropriate. Like just for comparison, I have a picture of what other women wore there. This was their full outfit.
And it was cold as hell.
Yeah.
It was like a polar vortex. She chose to wear that.
But they did it inside. They changed the location to inside.
Even the walk
because
to
it
the
was so-
car.
Yeah. I mean, if your goal is
Look at Milan.
if your goal is to attract attention there, you did
She
that.
did it. That's Bezos' fiance.
I think fiance. I don't think they're married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, these are merely our opinions based on our life experiences, knowledge, and research. Maybe you agree or disagree or simply want to be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Now let's get back to the pod.
Another thing people noticed about the inauguration is that Michelle Obama didn't come.
Oh yeah.
And she wasn't at
The funeral.
the funeral either.
Yeah.
So people, obviously the internet's gonna go wild.
Yeah.
But for instance, okay, I'm gonna show you a picture and just tell me what you think when you look at this picture. This is a picture Obama posted on his Instagram. What do you,
Okay.
just a dinner, right?
Yeah.
So the internet
Yeah.
was like, look how far they're sitting from each other.
That was the first thing I thought.
Really?
They are very far.
But
apart.
don't you think that's just the size of their table?
Yeah,
Maybe.
they're just.
Are they
across
at
the
home?
table.
They're at home.
Oh, okay.
And then another thing, they're like how
in the back,
his,
right?
his message at the end, he wrote "love you." He didn't write "I love you."
Oh my god.
So now people
That's
are
a-
like, "Oh, they're getting divorced. He's sleeping with Jennifer Aniston."
Yeah.
I heard about that one.
Yeah.
That's
rumors
wild.
come
She denied it.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Kimmel or something asked her, right?
What?
Yeah. Some
I just saw that she denied it.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think
But
she
it's
said
a
it was
little
true.
bit It is weird that she wasn't at those things because they're pretty high profile.
Yeah. So I would say like this whole thing with reading into the "I love you" or "love you" or how big the table is, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
But when she's not at the funeral or the inauguration,
those are big things to
people are going to ask questions.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. And you could say that it's because she doesn't agree with Trump's policies or the politics or whatever.
Don't know. Like she could maybe have a health issue.
That's true.
Okay,
a lot of things could be.
Maybe she's not going to the inauguration, but why is she missing the funeral?
Yeah. She was in Hawaii at the time.
Yeah.
That's not a great excuse.
I'd rather be in Hawaii too.
Most people would.
Yeah. But I mean, the internet's going to speculate regardless, right? But
yeah.
I hope it's not true. I don't really know much about them, but I hope it's not true.
I mean, have we seen them recently in
This is a very recent picture.
Yeah.
It's like a week ago, I think he posted it.
Oh, okay.
But people are, okay, and then
keeping
the
up
says,
appearances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like thinking if she was trying to pretend like it's not happening, she would have went just to like show the world that she. I don't know.
True.
It's a big statement to not go to something like that.
It is.
Yeah.
That's maybe like.
And she's always by his side.
Yeah.
I can't even think of like, has a president ever gotten divorced? None of them come to mind.
Check, but I
mean,
probably
Justin Trudeau's separated, right?
Is he divorced or been separated?
I don't think he's divorced. I don't know actually. I think he's separated.
Yeah. But
yeah. But yeah, let's move on to how hot dogs are linked to dementia. According to new research from Mass General Brigham Research Hospital. Yeah, sure.
Ronald Reagan. Only one.
Oh, right.
Okay. Only one.
Okay, so according to new research from Mass General Brigham Research Hospital in Boston, replacing just one serving of processed red meat each day for a protein alternative like nuts or chicken could potentially reduce a person's risk of dementia by 19% and save their brain 1.37 years of cognitive aging, the paper says. Researchers sorted through decades of health data collected from 771,000 Americans. In the end, 11,173 of those surveyed developed dementia up to 43 years later. People who ate more than a quarter of a serving of processed red meat a day had a 13% higher risk of dementia than someone who ate less than a tenth of a serving, the study found, and a 14% higher risk of standard cognitive decline. Notably, no significant connection was found between unprocessed red meat and dementia risk.
Damn.
So basically, don't eat hot dogs.
Who the hell actually likes hot dogs?
Don't eat processed
bacon
meat.
and stuff.
Bacon.
Yeah, sausages, no? It's all a part of it.
It's also such an increased risk in diabetes, stroke, heart disease, digestive disorders. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really not a good thing to consume.
I mean, dementia is a scary thing, right? And if it's saying here that
the percentages were kind of wild that you were saying.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, 19%. You reduce a person's risk of dementia by 19% and save their brain basically a year and a half of cognitive aging.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And it's not like they're just saying that it's just a couple people. They did this through decades of health data collected from over 133,000 Americans.
Okay. So
Right.
there's like a substantial amount of people. That's crazy. Just over I guess processed meat in general.
Yeah.
Wasn't it always a thing like in hot dogs that it's just ground up?
You don't really know what's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of always turned off by hot dogs. in
Aren't
general.
they also, I'm not sure here, so you can Google it, that they're one of the leading causes in colon cancer?
Yeah, that too.
That with even like deli meats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, deli
like
meats, a lot of that would be processed meat too, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what about like fresh deli meat?
I think that they like. I don't think there's a fresh deli.
She's like, I just bought it.
Okay, like
grill the chicken, cut that up, and they see.
okay, the difference between like pre-packaged and then getting it cut at the deli.
I think it's the same. I used to think that too, but I don't think it's any different.
But I think a lot of like the preservatives are added to the packaged stuff to make it last longer because it's packaged. So it has to stay fresh.
Like those things of meat just sit there.
Yeah.
So how do they not grow fungus and go bad? And there must be lots of preservatives in that, like to dry meat.
Yeah.
I would assume lots of preservatives.
Or a bunch of salt. That's like
the sodium, wild.
none of it's great for you.
You know what's crazy that people don't really talk about in the Indian Punjabi community? That most of these meat shops that you go to, they'll have marinated chicken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look at chicken, usually at a traditional butcher, you can see it, right? It's not marinated.
It's not marinated.
Yeah. With marinated chicken, you don't know what the hell's happening.
They say that
or how long it's been there.
They'll marinate it and then they sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then even like that's a little much, no?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you think of it like that, can't you just think everything is bad? Down to like vegetables and pesticides.
It is.
Even even the article
What are we
it
supposed
says stick to nuts and legumes. Isn't that like
beans?
Like dal,
right? He's like Rajma and dal.
Parents are right.
I guess so.
Well, they said chicken too, and our parents don't say chicken. Right? Yeah. I mean, I think it's basically what everyone would like to do. I don't think there's people out here outside of like breakfast food that are like, I prefer processed meat
That's
over.
the part that sucks, right?
You know,
Bacon.
but one, there's price. Two, there's time.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes those like ready to go easy quick meals that like, people that don't have that much time or they even feed it to their kids.
Even deli meat, right? Like you make sandwiches, you make them quickly.
For sure.
Right. That's the whole point, right? Like who's gonna sit there, cook up a whole chicken, chop it up every single meal?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's harder, but
coming from
is it?
Yeah, coming from a guy who never cooked.
Yeah. I mean, I cook now and then.
Yeah.
But it's definitely harder.
Yeah.
That's why people do this, but it seems to be worth it if you could just lay off or limit your intake.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of cognitive decline there.
Okay, I think that's it for the stories. Let's move on to off topic.
Okay, so our first topic is so there's been a couple of articles about like online sextortion is what they call it. It's not a real word, but you can assume what it is. But one of them was a Canadian girl, 13 years old, started talking up what she thought was a peer, ended up being a 43-year-old man from Oregon.
That's wild.
So the FBI found her a week later. It was like in a hotel room with this guy. So he like obviously manipulated her. She left with him, but she's back home and that's fine. But the other case was a teenager as well who was talking to somebody who ended up being a man. He thought it was a woman. They sent like intimate photos. And then he was like, I'm going to charge you. Like, I mean, if you don't give me money, I'm going to expose you.
Yeah.
He ended up committing suicide from that. Like a teenager.
13?
Yeah.
I don't remember the kid's age, but he was young.
Teenager.
Yeah, teenager, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so then what parents are talking about is just having more, like, how do we, like, control that better in terms of, like, social media and stuff and, like, chat groups, because there's no age restrictions.
Right.
There's no chatting restrictions.
Right.
No, like, what you can post, what you can send.
Yeah.
Like, governing it more.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
what do you think?
There seems to be, like, this, like, we're covering the same types of stuff all the time, right?
That second story that you were talking about, I read that story too, and that guy was actually, I think he was part of
the cadet.
Yeah, he was part of the cadets, right? He was like 17.
So he actually ended up telling his parents.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, we'll go to the police.
Yeah.
But I think it just, the pressure or the anxiety or something.
Or the embarrassment
like
or something.
12 hours
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
he just committed suicide. Like, it's so sad.
Yeah.
But what do you think, like, the government can do other than, like...
I guess it would be what you're saying, right? So putting limitations on use.
Yeah, where did they meet? Where did they meet these people?
Online, on just chat groups. They didn't specify.
In chat groups, right?
Yeah.
But this can happen through a DM.
Yeah. Instagram. It could happen on Twitter. It could happen anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
Remember those chatbots we covered one time?
Yeah.
They're talking to AI chatbots and these kids are like killing themselves.
Even that first story you're talking about, Alberta, you were saying Alberta and the guy was from Oregon, and they found him in Oregon.
They found them a week later in Oregon.
A week is a long time.
Yeah, so I think people are, you know how other countries, we talked about this many times, are banning kids at certain ages, so they want Canada to be more like that, and they're not.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Well, it's a difficult issue, right? Because if you're saying that these people were, they met him in chat, I don't know, like in chat, like group chat, some sort of.
I think one of these was
right?
even
like,
on Snapchat.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is hard. Like, how do you expect a parent to fully always have an eye out for this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can try as hard as you want.
Yeah, even
right?
the mother said she had put restrictions on the device. She said it was a school-given device.
What the?
So I don't know if, you know how sometimes they give out iPads and stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't know this life, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was some restrictions on it, and still something like that happened. Like, thank God she's safe and she's home.
Yeah.
But like, think about the other side. Like, we don't know what happened to her. She's a minor, so they didn't disclose that information.
Yeah. No, but she's 13, getting kidnapped
He's a
from
43-year-old
school, right?
man.
By this creep, right?
Yeah.
Who then
It's like convinced her that there are
and even look at that. This guy drove from Oregon to Alberta,
Yeah.
right, to come get her.
Yeah.
And what the kid just doesn't come home? Imagine being that parent.
Yeah, so that's what happened. She didn't come home from school. And then the mom got worried. It took a week to find her. Imagine that week.
It's a terrifying week. Even when the kid comes back, there's
Like, what happened to the kid?
there's trauma there. You don't know what happened exactly, right?
Yeah.
But your question of how you stop that, I think the easy answer people are going to look for is social media. But I don't know if that's a social media problem,
Does it turn into censorship?
right? Because if you stop, let's say if you banned kids from social media,
Yeah.
right? How are you going to implement that, right? It feels like we're kind of going into this time period where there is going to be some need of some oversight over a lot of
Happening
social
a little
media,
too much.
right?
Yeah. There's
And
got to be some government
If
intervention.
if that's a case, like I would like this 16 and under. I like that, right?
Me
Like
too.
if somebody's under 16, they shouldn't be able to access any kind of chat group or social media, right? And I know kids aren't gonna like it, but that's just how it. That's my opinion on the whole thing, right? Like I'd rather have that than all of this stuff that's happening. But if that happens and they kind of just put a law out there and they're like, now it's on the parents to enforce that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the same shit.
For sure.
Right? Like you have to make it somehow where it's on these corporations to enforce that. Because if you do that,
Yeah.
then it'll go away.
Then they'll be liable and then they'll do something.
Because if they're gonna lose money or they're gonna get lawsuits, they'll stop.
The next story we have is about ASAP Rocky.
So this story was kind of like, what are you doing? So ASAP Rocky, you guys know him, right?
Yeah, the rapper.
Rihanna's boyfriend. They have 2 children together. So he's going through an assault trial right now for allegedly firing a gun at a former friend of his in 2021. So a crime like this can have a sentence of 24 years in jail.
Okay.
But he was offered a plea deal to only serve 180 days in jail.
Okay.
Plus like a 7-year suspended sentence and a 3-year probation.
Okay.
But he respectfully declined this plea deal. So this is what happened in court.
Did they fully explain to you what the offer is to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how do you feel about it?
I respectfully decline. Thank you.
All right. You understand that you never know what a jury's going to do. If it happens that it doesn't go your way, people who are convicted of this crime, they go in custody and they go to prison. Are you aware of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, because you're not going to get any special treatment. Your status as an entertainer, your status as the significant other of Rihanna, that's not going to inure your benefit, and it's not going to inure your harm. I'm going to treat you like I would anybody else who's sitting on in that chair. So you are aware that if convicted, you'll go in custody, and it's very likely you'll get a significant prison sentence. You are aware of that?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm well aware.
All right, and you're not interested in the people's law?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then that takes care of it for appellate purpose. Okay.
This guy has to have a strong case, right?
That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
like the judge is trying to convince him. Like,
Pretty much. He's like, you know what
But
can
it's
happen.
such a good deal.
No, I'd
No,
like
it's-
But
okay.
what if someone thinks like they're not guilty? Wouldn't you?
So how
but
long
it's
is
not-
that?
Even if he doesn't believe that he's guilty.
Yeah.
If he's convicted by a jury, whether he's guilty or not, like
No,
he's
that's
going to
not
prison.
you as a person. You're so strongly believe that you did not do anything wrong.
Yeah, but people innocently
Yeah.
get convicted all the time.
Innocent
You're
people
kind of
take
gambling
plea
with your life.
Personally, if that
Yeah.
was me and
Yeah.
I know what I did was
Okay,
wrong.
so to what you're saying, if it was something that is going to harm your character, I'm
Yeah.
not saying he didn't do something bad, but
Yeah.
what was the charge? I think you were saying that he
shot
shooting
his
a
friend.
firearm.
shot his friend,
Former
right?
friend.
Which is different.
He better be a
from-
former friend now. He
They're
got
not
shot
friends
at.
anymore.
Die, right?
No.
Imagine
Which
being
is
like his
different.
best friend. He's like,
Which
I
is
love this
different
guy.
than like murder, which is different than even something like pedophilia or sexual assault
Yeah.
or anything along those lines. If it's something like that, then like what you're saying is like, I didn't do that. I don't want to be labeled as that.
Yeah.
So I don't care about the sentence. I'm gonna make sure that that doesn't happen, right? And then there's also the other side of it, though. You're saying that it's okay. Like, why wouldn't he take that deal? Because if he feels so strongly that he didn't do it, like I'm not even familiar with the story. I don't know why. It must have slipped my
It happened a
mind.
couple years ago.
Okay, but if he feels that he didn't do it and he knows for a fact that he didn't do it, and then there's this judge who's trying to convince him, like, hey, it's better for you to go to jail for 180
Do
days.
you understand?
right?
Do you understand?
and
Like, how
he's
many times do you have to explain it to him?
Right, like I got it, right? So if it's like that, maybe it's one of those situations where he knows he didn't do anything wrong and he knows that he's going to get no jail time and this judge is just overstepping, right?
How does he know he's going to get no
He
jail
doesn't
time? He doesn't know
He's
that.
taking a risk.
He doesn't know for sure, but he has.
decided to go through with this trial. So now they appointed a jury.
Yeah.
The jury just got picked. It's 7 women and 5 men, but there's no black people in the jury. So now it's up to them
Yeah.
to choose like
Yeah.
if he gets
It's a criminal
convicted or
trial.
not.
What state is that?
I don't actually remember.
Whatever, it's okay if you don't know. But like it's like I mean it depends, like it's different from state to state. And I feel like again, like he has to or his lawyer has to have some sort of evidence
That's
where
the
they
only
feel
thing that
like
makes
it's, it's in LA.
California.
Yeah, and LA is very liberal. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have that judge didn't seem like he was liberal. I don't know if he's trying to convince him. Like it could be both. Maybe he's saying to what Simmer's saying, where he's
That's
like,
what
hey,
it felt like.
Take the better
You said
Right.
you said 180 days, right?
3 months, right?
No, it's
That-
almost 6 months.
That's
Yeah.
6.
Almost. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
under.
6 months in jail.
But compared to 24
Oh, for
years,
sure.
Yeah.
like 6 months is nothing.
But again, he's not somebody who's broke. He can afford all the lawyers in the world, right?
Yeah.
And if
They're
they,
also advising him probably not.
yeah,
If he
he's
can't
not
afford
just-
it, Rihanna can.
Yeah.
He's not just walking up on a whim and being like, "Hey, listen, guys, I
Yeah.
think I want to do this." He's getting legal advice.
Yeah, and they're right beside
like,
him.
Yeah,
He has to have a strong case. That's the only way. If he goes to jail for anything more than 6 months, he's an idiot.
Yeah,
obviously.
that would be really sad.
Has Rihanna said anything about it?
No, she hasn't said anything publicly. but
outside of this,
curious.
like
He
I
even
know-
said that, the judge. He's like, even being
Yeah.
associated with Rihanna won't do anything for you.
Yeah.
but like,
He's like, I'm ASAP Rocky.
yeah, right. He's like, yo, I'm my own guy. But is there anything that you guys know about the story where does it seem like he did it?
I don't know. I didn't even know of the story.
Claiming that it was a prop gun that he had
Oh.
and he didn't do it. He's saying that he didn't do it.
Yeah,
Like he didn't even do it.
Friend, yeah,
Okay.
at all. He didn't shoot a real gun.
but a friend got shot.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not friends anymore. So
Seems like he shot him.
I don't know.
Maybe he
A
shot
prop
himself.
gun.
BB gun. He shot him with a BB
Yeah,
gun.
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Extortion.
I need
do
more
that.
facts. If I had more facts, then I feel like I'd be like, it's
Well,
a
there's
stupid.
two things that come of it, right? Either he's doesn't get charged, or if
Right.
he does, he's
Right.
stupid.
Right,
That's it.
right, right. You're not wrong there. Right. What do we got next?
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the inauguration.
All right, let's go.
Go back to Elon Musk.
Let's do it.
Oh, Elon.
Oh, so this was a big topic of conversation. This salute that he did.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Such a loser.
My heart goes out to you.
Look at how losers.
It was thanks to you that the future of civilization.
So he did
is
it
assured.
twice. And then in that clip, the second time they showed the crowd, but we have another clip that shows both.
My heart goes out to you.
Yeah, he is saying that though.
So
My heart goes. He's touching his heart. My heart goes out.
he
to
said that after though.
He's
He already did it
Hitler.
once.
We all know what he's doing.
He did it once,
not.
and then
Being Hitler. Come on.
Okay.
That's a Hitler salute.
Okay. Before Hitler, did you know that the Pledge of Allegiance was done that way?
okay, yeah, but that was so many years ago, and they stopped doing that because of
They stopped doing it because of Hitler, right? But
yeah.
where I disagree with him being Hitler, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think what he's doing is what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying my heart goes out to you. He's just that much in Trump's camp. That's
Yeah.
his choice, right? Where I think it's all stupid.
Stiff.
Yeah, I think he's clearly on the spectrum, right? Like you see him throughout the rest of it. He's acting like a complete goofball, right?
I saw so
And that's
many
just who he
memes.
is.
So many with him and Barron.
But
And they're like two parts of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But my whole thing about
Looks
it
like he's
is
on acid.
where like I'm not gonna read into the whole Hitler thing, right? Where I look at it is that the same reason why people on the right would judge the left and be like, just call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
He was acting like a goofball on stage, right? And it looked like he was doing a Nazi salute, right? And he comes out and he's like, people are calling me Hitler or whatever. Just be like, I could see why it looked like that. I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
I was saying my heart goes out to him.
To your point about the Pledge of Allegiance, though,
Mhm.
once Hitler did it, it then became a Hitler thing.
Yeah, that's
right?
fine.
So then for him to copy that,
Yeah.
now he's not doing the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like the order of events.
Yeah.
You can't just, I'm just skipping the last thing that happened and I'm
Yeah.
talking about the Pledge of Allegiance.
I completely understand that.
I think you're right. He was being goofy. I think this was a goofy thing that he was a little bit trying to be Hitler, but then,
You think he did this intentionally?
yes.
Do you think he did this intentionally?
Just knowing him a little bit.
What do you mean knowing him? You know,
And he's
Not
friend.
personally. Just watching a lot of interviews of him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. He's not great like
Exactly.
public speaker.
Yeah.
You
And
think
if-
that was like a
If I was on,
pick?
yeah,
Okay,
if I
do you
was on
guys-
stage like that, I think I would have done something not bad.
after
Throwing gang
after he did that, right? The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, so
Yeah.
they fight against anti-Semitism.
Okay.
They made a tweet basically defending him. Like they said, it was just he just did an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, and we should give him the benefit of the doubt. But then Elon had made all these like tweets, basically like mocking the whole thing and making all these like Nazi jokes and
Yeah.
things like that. And then the ADL kind of like went back on what they said and they condemned it.
Oh,
and
what
they
the
were
hell?
like, that they shouldn't be making these inappropriate kind of jokes. And they're offensive and whatever and all
Yeah.
of these things. So it's like, how can you give him the benefit of the doubt when you don't even know him? But he knew that it would probably cause this much of a uproar if he
For
did
sure.
that.
Or do you think he did it and then he ran with it because of the publicity? Because look at what he
Seems
said
like
here.
he's running with it.
His pronouns would have been him, he, and Himmler.
Like really out of pocket jokes.
That's him joking about being Hitler, right?
I just I think he's
You don't know him, right?
I don't
You
know
his
him,
humor.
but do you know
Yeah.
him? Do you know he's Hitler? You don't know him either, right? Like
We're just seeing it. What we see with our eyes, we are saying. You guys are saying, "Oh, he didn't mean it." I know
Okay,
that. But
likewise,
no.
okay. Listen, I've probably consumed the amount of content I've seen this guy, not just in snippets,
In interviews
in podcasts and interviews. I've probably watched 12 to 15 hours of him sitting, not straight in one
Has
day.
he ever imitated Hitler?
No, but he is
He's
really
weird. He's a
awkward guy.
weirdo.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like we know people like that in our lives who are very awkward and they're awkward with their mannerisms, right? So that was my whole thing. I don't think he did it intentionally to look like Hitler or give some
I don't
weird
love
message.
this either, though.
But that's what I was gonna say. I don't think he did it intentionally for that.
But this isn't fun.
But afterwards, what he's doing, instead of being like, "Hey, listen,
I'm sorry.
that just
I didn't mean it.
even if he didn't want to say sorry because he has a massive ego, right? You could just be like, "Hey, listen, I just did a goofball thing.
My bad.
Right?
I didn't mean it.
My bad. I see what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
But
what
he
it was."
didn't.
Right? He doesn't want to do that. He's doubling down. He's like, "You guys want to call me Nazis?" So he's just basically saying that they're ridiculous and it's not what it looked like. Right?
Yeah.
It did. I'm not saying it didn't look like that salute because it definitely does.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
He's saying it doesn't. Right? That's basically what he's saying. Right?
You know, even his transgender daughter weighed in on his gesture.
I'm just gonna say it. Let's call a spade a effing spade, especially when there's two spades done in succession based on the reaction of the first spade.
Well, they clearly had a fall.
Yeah. Like
They don't like each other. She
Yeah.
like removed Musk from her name.
Yeah. Which
But that's what she said.
Yeah. I could have predicted that.
Yeah. I mean, I think this guy's just in the spotlight. He's a little bit too excited and he's doing dumb things and he's not thinking anything. Yeah. I mean, did it look like the Nazi salute? Yes. Right. And he could say that it looked like it. That's my
He
problem.
did it so intensely. His face.
I don't even know.
like
Maybe he
that. I don't
purposely did it and he thought it would be funny. He's a weird guy.
Yeah,
Man,
but
he's
that's the
super
thing. Like,
weird.
it-
And he's on the
What are you
spectrum.
guys saying? You guys think he's a Nazi?
No, I'm saying it's very inappropriate.
Yes.
I
Yes.
Agreed.
So we all agree.
No, I think the
I don't think
disagreement
he did
is,
it unknowingly. I think he did it on
You think
purpose.
he intentionally?
You think he intentionally
I
was like,
think
"Oh, I'm gonna."
What we
they're gonna
see
get a
is
kick out of
what
this.
happened. Yes.
I think he walked up there and he's like, "My heart goes out to you," and then after that, everyone was like, "You look like a Nazi," and he was like,
No, but if you look at the video, he does the salute first, and then he says, "My
No,
heart goes
he
out
says
to
it first.
you." No.
"Yeah,
No,
doesn't he?"
doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, play it again. Play the video again.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
So much conviction.
He did it first, and then
It is
And then he
thanks
said
to
it.
you
Said it.
that the future of civilization is assured.
Okay. I don't know. He might have done
mean-
it on purpose.
You think he was just making fun of it?
No, I don't even. Okay, this is my opinion. You guys can have your own. Everyone can have their own opinion. I think he walked up there and he just said, "My heart goes out to you." It looked like the Nazi salute. People started calling him a Nazi. He started making fun of them.
And
That's
he's
just
too
him.
full of
And he has
himself
too much of an ego
yeah.
to be like, "Hey, listen, that wasn't. I'm sorry. It looked like what it looked like, and I didn't
Yeah.
mean for it to be that way." He's too much of an ego for him to do that, which is exactly the reason why people got pissed off at the left, because they would always make you feel stupid for ever even saying that there's something
Don't even
that they did wrong.
insinuate that we
Right.
did anything wrong.
Right. So like if you're gonna lean so much that way, you should know what that feels like. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't be saying those things. That's my take on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we should move on to
Yeah, let's
sports.
move on to the next story.
Move on to sports. Let's start with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So the Philadelphia Eagles are selling snow
Yeah.
my
from
God.
the playoff game with the
Yeah.
LA Rams. Yeah, so it's like a pint of snow from the playoff game is $50.
Yeah.
And they're selling on their official
Not
website.
just selling, they're sold
and
out.
it's sold out. Yeah, it's sold out.
Get it? It's just water?
How many
That's what I
pints
was
did they
thinking.
collect?
It looks like
A
an ice
lot.
cream.
They were, like,
jar,
shoveling
like a
up-
pint of
Yeah.
So the game actually snowed quite a bit. I don't
Yeah.
I think I'm the only football fan here. But I was watching the game. It actually snowed quite a bit. Like they
Yeah.
had to clear it up during the
Yeah.
game and stuff. You can look at how much it was.
So they were just
snowing.
like, "Oh, let's monetize this." Oh, look.
Yeah, and then Philadelphia won. They're like shoveling
That's-
up the snow.
that's like
They're
$300
packaging it and selling it, and people are buying it.
Grand in there.
Real?
Yeah, it's
people are
real
saying they
snow.
bought it?
And then they
Wow.
package it in insulated containers with dry ice.
Okay.
And that's how
yeah, it's
people are.
It's in like a
selling it.
Ben and Jerry's like thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But The thing about Philly fans, Eagles fans, Philly fans in general, they're
diehard.
Yeah, Philly fans,
super like into their team and
Done
stuff.
like Philadelphia cream cheese, you know, to go with the. Is it
Okay.
actually a thing?
But
The marketing. Okay.
You know what this reminded me of? Do you guys know the episode of Arthur where DW keeps a snowball in the freezer?
I think so.
That's the
Vaguely
first thing I
familiar.
thought of because I'm like, who saves snow? And I'm like, oh yeah, this kid's show I watched when I was like
In high school, I still watched it.
Okay, but how do you even know when you buy that's
That
from
is-
the field?
yeah.
And two,
There's no way of knowing
why
that.
would you want snow from the field anyway?
I
I just
don't.
want the cop. Says Philadelphia.
yeah, but
with
for
on it.
$50,
You'd
But
think
I
it's you'd think it was dumb, but they sold out.
they sold out. Yeah, so
People
No,
will buy
I mean-
things just because
but
someone
it's
touched it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also there's idiots out there, right?
But the thing is, like, the snow could be fake. It's just snow. It could be not from the field.
Yeah, yeah,
You just keep that in your
You have no
freezer
way of knowing.
forever.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's more so like you were saying for the just the
Yeah, just having like the thing from it.
Yeah, but even that, so like you have this box, right? So
Yeah, I would
usually,
probably bought it instead of getting it all soggy.
yeah, usually you're gonna put something like that on display in your man cave, wherever, right? You're like, hey, listen, I'm an Eagles fan. Look at this, right? So this stupid thing sits in your fucking freezer, right?
yeah.
you can get like a freezer with the glass door or something.
So
Imagine,
everyone can see it.
imagine somebody buys 10 of these and it's like sits in their bar,
Yeah.
just so people can see it.
I don't know. I thought that was wild.
Oh my
but
god.
Philly fans, man.
Okay, last,
EAGLES Eagles.
okay.
Okay.
Last story. Let's go to the NBA.
Do you
This
see
guy's always
this,
got something
Scotty?
good to say.
Put yourself ahead of LeBron as a team standpoint.
My success as a team is more successful than LeBron. I got 6 rings. You want individual accolades or you want championships? Because I didn't chase mine.
His
As
face.
far as LeBron goes,
Yeah.
leave that man the fuck alone. Like,
He
leave
didn't
that
chase it.
alone, Scotty. Like, pay homage to Magic, but leave the alone. Niggas is the ghosts of our league, man. Those are the 3. So whatever issues you have with Bron, like, leave that shit alone, Scotty. Like, Bron, this is a situation where Bron need to see Scotty. Now you talk about man conversations.
You have to have a
Me and
man
you gotta have a real
conversation.
conversation. Like, can't keep MJ the GOAT this day and Mike LeBron is the GOAT better than MJ this day. Oh, 6 years later, you know what? Fuck both of them.
It's so true. When I saw that, I'm like, that's so real.
Yeah.
Do you remember Scotty?
Yeah.
First he was like, MJ's the GOAT. Then he's like, no, it's LeBron. And now he's like, no, it's neither of them. It's me.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's clearly like lost it, man. He's so bitter after that documentary. I feel like, like he never recovered from it. He's just going around saying all this nonsense.
Well, okay, first the LeBron stuff. I don't think there's anyone out there. Well, maybe there's idiots that buy snowballs, but I don't think there's too many people out there that believe that Scottie Pippen's
better than
much LeBron. I don't even think there's anyone that debates that LeBron's not only
Great player,
one of the greatest of all time. It's always a 1-2, right? You can throw in a whole bunch of other guys if you want to, but
Now
it's
you gotta
usually-
throw Scotty in there.
I mean, Scotty's not. I don't even know if he's looked at as the
ego.
best, huh?
Just an ego thing.
Yeah, I think he's just butthurt, man.
Yeah, but I feel like over that is also, it's a podcast, right? That's a little clip from a podcast. I don't know what the whole clip of the podcast actually looked like and what he was saying.
I did watch it. It was a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
Driven, yeah.
And he's also like, didn't his ex-wife, she was dating.
Larsa dated MJ's son.
She's dating a lot of people.
So then on top of that, you have this documentary and then you have that happen.
MJ stopped being friends, right?
Yeah.
He talks about it.
way
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
The documentary was so good.
So
It
then,
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Last Dance you're talking about?
Yeah.
A lot of that painted Michael Jordan in a light where it was just all about Jordan.
For sure.
And he made it,
But it was about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which then, if you're a teammate of his, you're going to be like, you got there all by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be bitter, especially if you were the number 2 guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that was...
Melo's LeBron's guy. Obviously, he's gonna defend him. But that was just funny.
That was funny, but like, you know, when he's like, that's the situation where Bronny's got to go see him, man. He's just saying that Scottie
No, he
Pippen...
said Bron's gotta go see him.
Yeah, but no, after that he said Bronny, I think. I saw him.
He said Bron.
like
Said Bron's got to go see him man to man.
Okay, if he's saying Braun, The guy is saying he's a better basketball player than you.
Yeah.
You don't gotta see anybody. He can't have his own opinion, even if he's crazy and it's wrong.
It's definitely wrong.
Right? Like you can, if you're gonna go see somebody, it's when your families are involved. They're doing other shit. They're saying reckless, weird stuff. Right?
Yeah. This
if he
is
says that,
opinion.
yeah,
It's like any talking head on sports.
Who's gonna believe this guy when he says that? Right? Like he's honestly just losing a lot of credibility, man. A guy, I think
credibility's shot after saying he's literally done that. You can't keep flip flopping all over the place, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of it does come from people forgetting about him during the whole Chicago Bulls era, right? Like whenever people
he was a huge part of that team.
He was. I don't think they win the championships without him, right? 100%. But just trying to be like, if you're gonna talk about
I didn't chase mine. That's what he said about Bron.
Accolades aside, if we're talking about championships,
it's me.
I have 6.
LeBron said, does he say I'm better than MJ?
Who?
LeBron James.
Not
publicly?
To my knowledge.
Don't you think he he's like he needs to step to him or whatever? Don't you think he would just go there and be like gracious? Like you're an older basketball player, like I respect you.
Who? Scottie Pippen?
Yeah.
LeBron would say that
but
to
then
Scottie
Scottie
Pippen?
Pippen's talking shit, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he wouldn't do that.
LeBron is.
You think his ego's too high that he wouldn't?
I don't know. The older LeBron gets, the cockier and more egotistical he gets. So
I mean, he's unpredictable now. Like I was a really big LeBron fan growing up, right? Well, growing up, like he's not that much older than me, but I feel like now it's kind of shifted mainly because of, I don't know, politically or the way that he reacted during this Drake Kendrick thing or like loyalty or that kind of stuff. But if you're going to talk about specifically when it comes to basketball, I don't think anyone can deny that LeBron deserves to be in the GOAT debate and Scottie Pippen's not even in the top 20, right? Like it's not even close.
Yeah, so maybe he was just saying it to make headlines. He just wanted to get people talking about him.
To be relevant again?
Yeah, to be relevant.
even during The Last Dance, he was selling a book. A lot of people were like, he started up the beef to sell the book. Maybe he's selling another book now.
And look, we're talking about it, so
a lot of people
are talking.
Yeah.
That's all we have for off topic.
Okay.
We can move on to questions.
Okay. So we'll keep up with this basketball theme, and we'll do a blind ranking of basketball players.
Okay.
I feel like I can't even play.
So I'm going to name 5. So we'll start with Kevin Durant.
So how are we ranking these guys?
Best
number best?
1 to
The
5.
best we
best
think?
Oh,
1 to
okay.
5. Yeah.
Okay, KD.
This is all time or is this
Are they all
current?
playing?
Current.
Oh.
No.
KD's got to be up there.
Yeah, KD's got to be
Out of 5?
2, 1, 2, or 3. You got LeBron.
One.
Huh? It depends on who she's gonna say. She's not gonna say.
Well, she started with 1. Obviously, she's going to say someone better.
Yeah. So
She's going
current.
to say LeBron James. Watch her switch it up right now.
KD has to be 1, 2, or 3.
I would put him 2.
2?
Yeah.
I think that's safe.
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
Is there a right answer?
The next one is LeBron James.
LeBron. Okay.
Currently,
You got to put him at 1.
how?
How not?
Are you saying that of all time, his whole resume?
That's the question.
No, she's talking about currently the best basketball players, right?
Today?
From the 5 that I'm going to say.
Are you saying like their whole resume or their abilities right now?
Like, do all of them still play?
Yeah,
right now?
they still
No.
play.
Okay, but like LeBron's
She's saying all
capabilities,
time.
Let's say all time. Let's just
Yeah.
make a decision.
all
Say
time.
of all time.
So it's
Do
Then
number
LeBron's
1.
1.
Hands
I
down.
don't think that's what she meant. Then LeBron's 1. Then this list is too easy.
you want it to be all
Go.
time or right now?
I guess all time.
Yeah, okay.
Then is KD still 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Okay. SGA.
If it's all time, then he's 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. Steph Curry.
3.
Steph would be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Jokic.
Jokic?
4.
4?
Maybe him and Steph could have flip flopped. Maybe Jokic could have been. Well, that's the only one we
Steph
have
could
left.
have flip flop with KD.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I would go Bron, Steph, KD, Jokic, SGA.
If we weren't talking about all-time resumes and we were talking about talent currently,
Mm-hmm.
that would probably be Jokic, SGA, KD, Braun, Curry or Curry than Braun. You know what I mean?
Braun
like
would end up at the
he'd end up at the last, right? That's what I'm saying. If his resumes, then like obviously those
all
guys,
time, obviously.
Is Steph Curry not a good player anymore?
He is, but SGA and Joker are young. Well, Joker's not that young, but they're younger players, right? Which you're going to build teams
Canadian
around.
Hamilton product.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 5 of them are the Western Conference starters.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So there's not a right order, but that's where it got.
Oh, those are the starters?
Yeah.
From the Western Conference.
LeBron,
I'm surprised all 3 of them made it.
Yeah. I mean, that says a lot.
They've been like starters for years.
Yeah.
I do have a question. It's kind of like a scenario question. Kind of like, what would you do in this scenario? So I'll read it, and then you guys can.
City eyes.
So you are an eyewitness to a crime. A man has robbed a bank, but instead of keeping the money for himself, he donates it to a poor orphanage that can now afford to feed, clothe, and care for its children. You know who committed the crime, but if you go to the authorities with the information, there's a good chance the money will be returned to the bank, leaving a lot of kids in need. What do you do?
So we got a Peter Pan on our hands, right? And snitches get stitches.
Robin Hood.
Completely.
Peter Pan.
Right.
We watched it today.
Yeah.
It's a Robin Hood.
It's a Robin Hood. So in that scenario, a bank.
Everybody has to say their answer.
So
what would you do?
I'd just keep my mouth shut.
You?
I get it. It's immoral. But the thing is, the guy robbed a bank.
Mm-hmm. No one got hurt.
No one gets hurt. That money's probably going to get covered by insurance.
Right.
Right? It's a victimless crime, and he's helping people. I keep my mouth shut.
I would too.
Helping orphans.
Yeah, I'd keep my mouth
If
shut.
you're gonna be super ethics, you gotta tattletale. That's what you're saying?
No, yeah.
I could tell by this
There's
face.
nothing. There's always a consequence.
Yeah.
Not to you
Not to me.
at all.
Yeah.
The bank.
Yeah.
That's only.
But what if that bank
You
that
think
you're
interest rates are
working
gonna
at?
go up?
No, not interest rate. Not interest rates. Not interest rates. What if that bank teller really needed that money, right? And he couldn't afford his house because interest rates were high, right? Inflation fucked him, and now he committed suicide because he can't, pay his bills or
That's
whatever.
not part
He
of the
died.
scenario.
Right, that could have happened, right?
Okay.
What if he got fired, right? What if the security guard at the door because the robbery happened, something happened
So,
to him?
okay, what's your answer?
Butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect is hard, man. So you don't know the consequences of someone's actions. But if all those things aren't happening and it's just like a plain case, then I won't say anything.
What if those things are happening?
Then like it's a hard decision. That's a very hard decision.
We need a yes or no.
I said no.
Okay.
I just covered my ass while I was saying it.
I would not say nothing.
You won't say anything?
No.
Everybody's mom.
I was the only one that thought about snitching for a second.
Right? Wow.
Well, you're right.
Don't take his side. He's a snitch.
And with that, remember, we don't research. We research everything. We're not experts on anything. We encourage you guys to do the same. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.